There's rumblings that Joe Biden should or may actually federalize the National Guard, take that power away from Greg Abbott. Let's say this showdown, I mean, that's what it is. It's a showdown. It's a showdown of power and loyalties and constitutionality. Let's say he does that. How many people say, no, you know what, screw you, Biden administration? And how many people stay and fight with Texas versus the federal things? And does that put us on course for a force-on-force conflict?
It feels like almost like a soft civil war. You got all the Republicans saying, can we secure our borders? The Democrats saying, I want this to go away, I'm blaming Republicans. The president against the governor of Texas, the most independent state in the union. I mean, this is getting a little crazy.
I've said I don't want a secession, I don't want a civil war, I don't want to dissolve the country. But the left knows they're putting all of us in a position to where we have a hijacked federal government. We have to have the states pull out of the union and then have another convention and then reconstitute it again and have the states basically impeach the hijacked federal government. And that's in the Declaration of Independence. It's not just our right, it's our duty.
Yeah, I don't want like a secession or anything, but in this one case, the overwhelmingly conservative Supreme Court said that we should continue a centuries-long precedent, the federal government being in charge of immigration law. And in this one particular case means that they're able to remove this concertina wire. So I guess secession, I guess war. I think you weren't actually that against it in the first place, if that's the case. So look, there's everybody on the right, the commentators, many of the politicians now, both independent right-wing commentators and those on Fox News and Newsmax and InfoWars and all that, they're all once again horny for civil war. And it's hard to say exactly why that is. It could be that they like the topic that it's over. They like the idea that they can focus on the border and they think that could help them. It could be that they just like that it's happening during an election year. This gets to be their caravans for this year, or their trucker caravan in Canada or whatever. Maybe they just like that. Maybe it's just what it normally is, which is that they love the idea of telling other people that they should go and die while they broadcast about it. I don't know for sure, but I do know that a whole lot of people have been calling for violence, not just calling for not abiding by the Supreme Court or what the federal government says, but specifically saying, I'm cool with armed forces on the state and federal level killing each other. Oh, and by the way, you, dear listener, should get a gun and be ready to start murdering people. They're being very clear about that, and they're getting an assist by the politicians as well. Greg Abbott has been talking about how this is the forced invasion of Texas by the federal government, saying he's not going to abide by it. And you now have Republican governors representing, I believe, fully half of all US states saying that they side with Governor Abbott in saying that Texas should not abide by the decision of the Supreme Court. So look, the idea that this could devolve into actual civil war certainly seems crazy, but as many of these right-wingers have pointed out, the last one seemed unlikely up until it happened. The only difference between me and them is that I actually think it's a bad thing and I don't want people to die for their politics. Brett, what do you think?
That Alex Jones diatribe is the apotheosis of feeling smart versus being smart. Like, he took us through a very intense, smart feeling diatribe about how, civics, a civics lesson on how like to constitute, unconstitute, reconstitute the federal government and secede from the union. But it's just stupid. Like, the thing is, like, this is how federalism always works. This is the tricky, weird dichotomy that there's 100 different metaphors for, or trichotomy, I guess, between, like, you have federal governments, you have state governments, you have local governments. And really what always already is happening is the federal government is always deciding whether they should take the initiative and supersede whatever you're doing at a federal and local or state and local level. For example, it is illegal, it has traditionally been illegal for you to smoke marijuana, but you can go down to Venice Pier and just buy weed in 2010 by just standing in front of an iPad and telling someone you like have trouble sleeping. And the federal government doesn't step in, or the state government doesn't step in until they feel that there's an issue. And in this, and if there's a big disagreement, it goes to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court makes a decision. And typically what you do is you look at it and go like, if we didn't do it this way, the entire nation would fall apart, and you don't want that, and so you don't do it. But these folks, like, and then what are you upset about? Like, what are you actually mad at? Like, you're 10 minutes away from Joe Biden agreeing to many of the immigration reforms that you asked for. But the people like Alex Jones, Fox News, and whoever the hell else, Newsmax that we played, would hate for that to happen. They would hate for us to actually have comprehensive immigration reform because then they would have nothing to complain about.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.